So one of the things I was thinking about as far as our movie mainline project here, we of course have our weekly podcast, but I was thinking, along with maybe some spoiler episodes, another thing we could do that'd be really fun is to get viewer and listener feedback on really impactful movie-going experiences you have. And I thought I would start with us, as we have all had many, many movie-going experiences. And we are going to start with Mr. Greg. How have you experienced something impactful in the movie theater?
I have one impactful moment.
One!
Okay,
You've been seeing movies for how many years? 40 years?
I've been watching movies, well, for my job, maybe for 30 years. Okay, so I've seen mainly, I would say most of my movie-going experiences has been at a screening or with critics. Okay, so I'm 48. I started maybe when I was 20, 21. So a big part of my life has been watching screenings. So I don't have that pure movie-going experience. I can only look back at maybe when I was a kid. And the one movie-going experience, our buddy Anderson Cowan, he always talks about how in the 80s, Platoon was a huge film, huge movie for him, and it really impacted his life. That was a huge movie for me. I'm assuming that was a big movie for you as well, right, Bruce?
Oh, yeah.
But the movie that really changed my life in a weird way was I went to a screening. I went to a showing of Casualties of War, directed by Brian De Palma, Vietnam film, starring Michael J. Fox. I remember loving that film so much, co-starring Sean Penn. I'd never seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High at that time. I still haven't seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I just remembered being blown away by Sean Penn in that performance, as well as much as I loved Family Ties, I was surprised that Michael J. Fox actually pulled off the role in Casualties of War. And I remember, I think that weekend, they had an SNL skit with someone pretending to be Michael J. Fox in the middle of a jungle, and the person playing Michael J. Fox, I think it might have been David Spade. He's looking up in the sky and he's saying, Mallory, so it was really bad. If you've seen Family Ties, you know the character Mallory. But the reason why I single out this film is it was completely different from Platoon. It was a very personal account of this person who goes against the grain, against his crew of mates, and he decides not to rape that girl. And he tries his best to save her. And it's based on a true story. And at that moment, I realized how much of a visualist Brian De Palma was. I think this was my first time really understanding the genius of Brian De Palma. And the actual movie itself, it wasn't really packed. And I don't know. I think it's just me and my buddies decided to go see Casualties of War, maybe because we were Platoon fans. I remember it getting some really good reviews at the time, but I believe it wasn't a box office hit. And the way it was told, there's a train sequence where Michael J. Fox, he sees a girl in the subway in San Francisco, and he sees her, and then it puts him back right into a flashback of exactly what happened. So essentially the whole movie is a flashback, and then at the end it goes back to the present day. And I just thought, wow, it showed me that I was 17 or 18 at the time when I saw it. And I was just blown away at that structural device of that non-linear narrative, the dreamlike quality, also the historical accuracy of the Vietnam War. There's a sequence where the woman who's raped, she's on a train track, and there's a skirmish across the way, and Michael J. Fox is trying to run to her to save her from being killed. There's all these moments that are going on in that sequence, and I was blown away because that moment showed me how there can be so many things going on in one scene that you can't really digest. You'd have to watch it again.
Right.
And since then, I'm thinking there's not a lot of filmmakers who can do what Brian De Palma does, which is stage one scene, but then have another scene off camera where your eyes kind of train like, what is going on over there? He put so many things within the frame. At that moment, 30 years ago, I was just blown away by that film and by De Palma. And after the movie, we went to, I think, the local mall nearby, and I couldn't shake that experience off my head. So, did
Awesome.
you? Yeah, did you ever see Casualties?
I have seen it. Yeah, I remember really liking it as well. I mean, that point, I'm a little older, so I'm almost, I don't know, 10, 15 years older than you are. Maybe like
Yeah,
8 years older than you are. So, I mean, I'd already kind of found the movies that kind of sucked me in. But I think what you're describing is really interesting. And I'd be curious to see if other people have a similar experience. Real movie lovers, like the hardcore movie lovers, I feel like there's a point where you shift, where you go from I'm just enjoying movies, to all of a sudden you're enjoying movies, but you're enjoying the movie making. Like you cross that line where all of a sudden you discover, like you're analyzing it as you're enjoying it, and you're
yeah,
appreciating it on a separate level. Or when you all of a sudden are discovering like, ooh, I love this director and he did that too, and all of a sudden you're like, that director changed my vision and I'm going to watch everything that director's done. Or I feel like there's that switch that super movie lovers get into, where all of a sudden you kind of have that double impact of enjoying it for entertainment's sake and also enjoying it for craft's sake. And when you kind of cross that line, that's when you become a true like hardcore fan. And
yeah,
that's kind of what you're describing in a way, like where you're experiencing it as a movie, but you're also experiencing like, how is he juggling all this stuff and how's all this stuff happening at once, which is a big De Palma thing, right? That
yeah,
like, I mean, he even splits the screen in a lot of his movies to do that, to give
yeah,
you multiple things. Well, awesome. Thank you so much. And hopefully we'll get other people tell us about the things that got them. It doesn't have to be the thing that inspired you as much. It could be something that was really crazy. It could be an insane experience. It could be the most hilarious experience, the most awkward experience, whatever it might be. Those kind of things that unite us as moviegoers and movie lovers. I think that's the idea. So thanks,
yeah.
Greg.
Thank you, Bruce Perky, Brucifer Perky.
That's right.
Take
All
care,
right.
buddy.
We will talk soon.